I am hoping that this recording is going to take because I'm on round 3 here. This is Sandra M. Urquhart, and today I am, by request, trying to talk to you about cancer and some natural healing techniques and methodologies to deal with cancer. I am not sure if I'm getting a recording here or if the recording is not going to sound muffled or garbled. I have tried already twice, and in between I did a test, and the test came out fine, came out fabulous. But then when I actually recorded, it was garbled. The first time I had no sound at all. The second time was garbled, and I was on a roll, and somehow I accidentally shut the system off or something, but I'm trying again per my request. Like I said, I'm Sandra Urquhart, and I'm from Cross of Pain. You'll find our group in our Facebook page, on Facebook, of course. And you can also follow me on Instagram if you choose. You'll also find Cross of Pain on patreon.com. And your support is greatly appreciated, because if you like my content, if you like what I'm talking about, and you got something of value from it, the value you can contribute back to me is some support, because it takes time, it takes money to do this. It also pulls me away from other avenues where I could potentially make money. So support would really help, so that I could continue to put these out, and I don't have to be worrying about a 9 to 5 as much. Anyway, to move on, this image that you're looking at on the screen is the 5 elements. It's a one chart of the 5 elements. There's other charts, but this is just a basic chart. This one actually goes to showing face shapes, which was not my intention in producing this chart for you to look at. And I find this thing with the face shapes interesting, but I'm not going to dwell in that right now. What I wanted you to see on this chart were the colors, because what I want to talk to you about today a little bit is colors. Since the request came for me to talk about cancer and healing from cancer, there's several things about that, and several avenues of approach and perspective that you can come at to approach this. But I want to first tell you that cancer is caused by pain, and it causes pain. And it's not something that materializes in your life overnight. I've had clients that come to see me and they say they're having back pain, low back pain. And it's like a female client will tell me she's got low back pain, and she's constantly in this low back pain. I ask her, are you wearing high heels? Yes. I said, well, you've got to stop wearing the high heels, because it's not helping your problem. It's amplifying it. Oh, but I want to be pretty. Okay, well, if you want to be pretty, you're going to be in pain, because you can still be pretty without wearing high heel shoes. You do not need high heel shoes to look pretty. It's put out there in the world that it's the big glam thing and blah, 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 but you can still look beautiful without high heel shoes. You can actually be comfortable and still look beautiful. Hard to believe, I know, but it can be done. And really, you're going to have to choose. It's a decision. Either you want to continue in pain, or you want to look pretty. And if you choose to continue in pain and continue wearing the high heel shoes, and you decide that you're going to go to see these anesthesiologists who try to call themselves pain experts, but really all they do, they're shot experts, really. They just fill you up with medicine and chemicals to try to numb your pain, but it doesn't work. I know because I worked for one. I worked for a group. And, if that's your answer, if that's your out, I'll go see these pain doctors and get facets and these shots and take a bunch of drugs to numb out the pain, but you continue to partake in the activity that's either causing or amplifying your pain problem, you're going to spend your life in and out of doctor's offices. You're going to spend your life in pain because of your own stubbornness. I say that to say that with regards to a disease like cancer or even a disease like diabetes, these diseases are the result not only of Big Pharma and Monsanto's toxic regime of poisoning the food chain and the food system and depopulation. I'm not going to go into that on a big scale. Those are part of the problem. But the most major part of the problem has to do with each of us, because most of us are not taking responsibility for our own selves, for our own lives, for our own health and well-being. Everybody is so busy running to a doctor, somebody with a title, to tell them what to do. And nobody is being responsible enough to research some things for themselves, to educate themselves. People read. Oh my goodness, you've got to read. And I say that as a person who is on the path of self-education, and I say that as a writer, and I say that as someone who just wants to do better. You've got to pick up some books. I mean, and some of you, you're so quick to run to the technology. That's all well and good, but the technology is doing damage too. And too much of anything is not good for you, as Barry White said. And it's very, very true. If there's not a balance, then there's going to be a problem. And half of you are in pain because you're so busy with that technology, can't get away from it. And you've got radiation coming off of your phones, your Bluetooth or whatever, and coming off your phones, and the blue light from the screens that's messing with your eyes and messing with your brain, and it's no good. You've got to have balance with this. Some of you are constantly checking your phones. You're on Instagram, you're taking 10 million pictures of yourself. I mean, honestly, no one's that interested in what you look like. Seriously. Like, I'm amazed sometimes at the number of selfies people are taking of them. It boggles the mind. Like, every day you're posting selfies of yourself. Like, are you really that vain? You've got to get away from the technology, and you've got to get away from this narcissistic behavior, this obsession with self. It's not healthy. Okay, so coming back to the whole cancer issue. Disease and pain and everything, it's a whole body situation. And it starts in your spirit first, and then it moves into the area or the arena of the mind, and then it attacks the body. So see, there's a lot of traveling that has to happen here with just a thought. A thought, mind you. It's coming from your core beliefs. So if your core beliefs are not correct, then the thoughts coming from that core is not exactly going to be right. It's like the difference between a healthy cell and a diseased cell. You can look in a microscope, and when a cell is not right, it has kind of like jagged edges or weird blobby shaping to it, and weird indentations and stuff, because it's supposed to be kind of more circular or maybe even a little bit oblong, but You know, when it's not holding the right shape, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Is a thought is like that. When the thought is not correctly formed, and because it's not coming from the right base of information, then that translates over into your character, because what you think about becomes you know, part of who you are, what you think about and what you accept, and then that translates over into your actions, because your actions are going to come forth from your character, from who you are, and that's translating into your habits, and your habits are going to dictate your lifestyle. And if your lifestyle is not a healthy lifestyle, if it's not a healthy lifestyle, that's stemming from unhealthy thoughts, unhealthy actions, unhealthy habits, an unhealthy character, and an unhealthy spiritual base. So I'm trying to tell you all of this because I need you to realize and recognize that there's a process involved in the evolution of pain in the body, in the manifestation of disease in the body. There is a process that happens. So you have to be able to trace it back and figure out where in your thought processes or your belief system, what's wrong there, and then start making changes there. And that requires new information to come in. That's why reading is so important. And I'm not talking about reading for leisure, you know, Danielle Steele and romantic novels and stuff like that. I'm talking about reading to gain knowledge, to gain information. When you start doing that and you start educating yourself, your mindset is going to change. It can't help it, because new information is going to come in, it's going to get processed, and it's going to be compared and analyzed up against the old information. And then something's going to get kicked out, usually the older information that's not solid. So it's going to bring about change in your life. It's going to bring about change in your health if the new information and the new thoughts and education that you get is moving you towards new, healthier habits. There are a lot of people sitting up in church, and I am a Christian, and there are a lot of people in church that are sick. Why is that? There's a reason. But I want to say to you that dealing with cancer is the same thing as the example I just gave you about the woman with the high heel shoes. You can't complain about having pain or having a disease. And it doesn't make sense to pray and ask God to heal you of this disease if you are not going to change anything that you're doing. God's not going to move against your will. So, I mean, when we pray, we're basically inviting His divine will into our lives. And that means that we have to put our will secondary and submit to His will. That's what we're doing if we're praying and asking Him to do something for us. That means that we're willing to submit. And if you are too prideful and you're not willing to submit to God, then you're on your own, baby, because let me tell you something. God has no obligation to any of us who are outside of His will. He has no obligation to any person who does not believe, and especially for any person who does not believe that his son came and died for them. That his son, he sent his son on a mission, and that his son was sent as a sacrifice. There's, if your belief system is based upon your will, you're going to have a problem. That's all I can tell you. I mean, I'm talking to you based off of my belief system, granted. And you may not agree, and that's fine. But the one thing you do have to understand is that whatever your belief system is, if whether you have faith or you don't have faith, that's going to affect your thought patterns. That's going to affect your character. That's going to affect your actions and your habits, and subsequently your lifestyle. And that is going to cause pain or disease to manifest in your body based upon whatever it is that you believe or don't believe. Okay? That is the main component of the materialization or manifestation of any pain condition, of any disease condition. And now I'm going to, make a little clause here on the side, because I know some people are saying, oh, well, what if I had an accident or an injury and that caused my pain condition? I'm sorry to tell you this, but your pain condition was en route. Your pain condition was on its way before you came into an impact situation, before you came into that collision or whatever it was that caused that injury. Pain was already beginning to manifest in you. And so that collision or that impact or whatever it was, that came in as an extra variable that amplified the problem that was already beginning to build. And it may amplify it, 10 times, depending upon the type of injury or the type of impact or whatever it was that caused that injury. It may amplify it up 100 times. I don't know, but there's always going to be a muscular condition building that by the time you come into contact with some sort of high impact situation, it's going to cause pain. If you're not paying attention and you're not being responsible for your body, it's going to happen. And even people who are being responsible, who are, doing yoga and eating healthy life, raw foods, and maintaining their body properly, even if they have an impact situation that happens, they could be injured depending upon the intensity and the level of the impact. However, the injury is going to be greatly lessened in accordance to the condition of the muscles, because the condition of the muscles in the body is going to dictate the condition of the structure, and that is going to be a determining factor in the level of the injury. Okay, so back to my chart here. Now, this chart comes from Chinese theology, and I don't want anybody who is Christian or maybe doesn't believe in Chinese theology. I don't want you to get hung up on that. That's not the bigger issue here. I brought this image here because I wanted you to see the colors. Now, as you can see, if you look at this, it shows the elements, the organs, emotions, colors, time of day, seasons, what energizes, what controls, and it shows a face shape, which is neither here nor there right now. What I want you to look at is, the fact that for each of these elements, there is an organ or two organs that are connected to that element. And these organs, within these elements, there's a system, a firing system. I'm saying firing system, but there's a clock, an activation system for each of these organs within this system. But it also relates to your emotions. So when you are a person who has high elements of, say, water, you're a person that has maybe some issues with kidney or bladder, and you have an emotional problem with dealing with fear and courage. This is where you're going to be balancing between. The colors are blue and black. Time of day is not really relevant to what I'm talking about. Seasons are not really relevant to what I'm talking about, or the energized right now and the controlled by right now. That's a whole different thing. I don't want to get into that right now. What I want you to look at, what I really want you to focus on, is the fact that the foods in your diet that are causing or bringing cancer into your life are the foods that fly under the colors starting from the white to the red. Any foods that are white, yellow, orange, or red need to be eliminated from your diet. And when I say red, I'm not talking about the red like beets, the color of beets. That's more like a purple. I'm talking about the red like tomatoes, like red bell peppers. And speaking of bell peppers, even the green ones need to be eliminated. And I'll get back to that on another video as to why that is. And also on the purple eggplant also needs to be eliminated. And again, I'll get back to that. It's the same related topic with the bell peppers. The tomatoes fall in that topic as well. And that one was a hurtful one for me. I love tomatoes. But on that color spectrum, there are a few foods that you can still eat, just not great amounts of them. You can still eat anything in the squash family that may be yellow or orange, like yellow squash or, pumpkins or anything in the squash family. You can still eat a bit of that. And that was it. Yeah. Stuff in the squash family that's yellow or that's orange. You can have a little bit of oranges, fruits that are, but I would greatly limit those. I would greatly limit citrus of all sorts, because citrus, while it is acidic, while it is alkaline outside the body, it becomes acidic inside the body. Once you eat it, you digest it, it becomes acidic. And it's going to cause problems. So you want to go through your food cabinet, and anything that is boxed or packaged, whether it be in a box, whether it be in a can, whether it be in a bag, packaged items, packaged food, you need to eliminate that from your diet completely, because those foods have high levels of sodium. They have a lot of extra chemicals mixed in, particularly BHT for freshness. That one causes brain cancer. And I'll tell you a product that has that in every single box. Any of the, I believe it is Kellogg's cereals. You look on the box and you look on the ingredient list and you will see BHT for freshness. That chemical causes brain cancer. Also, you want to make sure to avoid anything that has, oh goodness, I'm trying to remember the name of that. And it's in everything. Oh, it aggravates me that it's not coming to me at this moment. But corn syrup, here we go. High fructose corn syrup. And that's going to be in anything packaged pretty much. Okay? Even if the package says to you that it's not high fructose corn syrup, it's just corn syrup. No, you don't want to ingest that. Corn syrup, the properties or the chemicals that make up corn syrup are the exact same chemicals that make up ethanol minus maybe 2 or 3 chemical items. Okay, so the same ethanol that you put in your gas tank, or that's used for other types of chemical processes, Corn syrup amounts to the exact same thing. It is made up of the same ingredients, but like I said, minus maybe 2 or 3 ingredients. So you definitely don't want that coming into your system. So like I said, anything in a package, that'd be your first step. Okay, if you, I know this is a hard thing to swallow because literally everything in the SAD American diet has this color scale of from the white to the red. Almost everything you can buy out to eat has it. And I'm talking from grains to sugars. It's a high spectrum of problematic foods, but these foods flow in the realm of fire. As you see on the chart, the heart is fire. And these foods affect the heart, it affects the small intestine, it affects the spleen, the stomach, lungs, and the large intestine. Okay? And look at the emotions tied to these. Okay? If you're dealing with grief, if you're worrying, if you have sorrow, this is the areas being affected, guys. But what I want to tell you about the foods that fall within the fiery colors is that these foods cause inflammation in the body. And inflammation is a definite precursor to disease. There is so much more about this that I want to discuss with you, and I'm going to pick it up in the next video. But for right now, I'm going to shut this one down so that I can check and make sure that it actually recorded. So until I get to talk to you again, guys, it's been my pleasure, and I hope I gave you something that was helpful. I know this is a lot to swallow. It's a lot of food products that you will need to eliminate, especially if you're battling cancer. But I would say to you, first and foremost, eliminate the packaged foods. Do not eat anything that's coming out of a can, a box, or a bag. Just eat fresh foods, raw foods, whole foods, okay? And try to stay out of that coloring, and you'll be fine. Until I talk to you again, peace and blessings.